As you may have seen by the title, it's going to be a very exciting one today, guys. So come on, let's pay attention. Let's get involved. Let's get excited. Today, we're going to be talking about this phenomenon that occurs in our bodies. It's super cool, and it's going to potentially help us to recover more quickly from injuries and get us back to doing the things that we love. We're going to be talking about cross-education. Now let's start by talking about what cross-education actually is. And look, if I'm being honest, we're gonna get a little bit sciencey, but you know what? We can handle it. Now, many years ago, in 1894, the Yale Physiological Laboratory first reported signs of strength gains occurring in the untrained contralateral limb following unilateral resistance training. That didn't make any sense, did it? What they found, that is, if you were only to ever train your right arm and you never trained your left arm at all, you would still see strength gains in your left arm, even though it wasn't training. Contralateral just means opposite, by the way. I know, fancy word, I don't know why. And the researchers called this cross-education. I hope you all enjoy this video, and as always, if you could like and subscribe to help the channel grow, help spread the message, that would be amazing. It'd also make Spike really, really happy. Yes, I have resorted to exploiting my dog, and look at him. He's just an old bean, and he would like to be happy. Thanks, guys. If you've ever been injured, you'll know that the side that gets injured loses strength very quickly, or you might see the muscle starts to atrophy or get smaller, and that can last a really long time, and it can be really difficult and tiresome to try and get that back. So think about the potential of applying this thing called cross-education to our rehab process. Think about applying it to a setting where we might not be able to move one of our limbs at all, or we might not be able to move it as freely as we would like. Now, I've known about this concept for a while, but as some of you might know, Callum, my partner, has had recent surgery on his right knee, and I'm his strength and conditioning coach, so it's really important that we keep him fit, and it's important that I know my stuff so that I can help him in the recovery process. And equally, if any of you are injured, I want to help you get back to doing what you love as quickly as possible. Now, cross-education has been studied with a variety of different training methods, so think of things like really heavy resistance training or electrically stimulating your muscles. It's even been seen with motor imagery practice, so even just imagining that you're doing it could have some potential benefit. But several studies have reported that we can maximize that cross-education effect when we use heavy eccentric training. Eccentric means when the muscle is lengthening. So what this might look like is using a really, really heavy weight when you go down in the rep, when your muscles are lengthening alongside gravity, and then using much less weight when you come up. So you might have to drop the weight and then restart. It's a little bit hard to set up, but heavy training seems to be most effective. And I mean, this is pretty cool to know. Now you might be wondering, okay, sure, but how big is the actual effect that we get? It can't be that big, right? How big is it? And like I said, it's going to depend on the type of training that we do. It's going to depend on our own responsiveness to it. But one meta-analysis said that typically in the untrained limb, we could get an increase in strength of around 7.6%. And that is about half the size of the strength increase that we would see in the limb that we're actually training. So that is pretty huge. Imagine as Callum is training his left leg throughout this rehab process, his left leg is going to be getting stronger, potentially getting bigger. It would mean that even though he can't fully move his right leg or load it up in the way that he wants it to, he could still gain strength and he can still keep progressing in a really positive direction. But it's not just the strength that increases, it's the size of our muscle too. One study looked at unilateral training 5 days a week, so using one limb, and they found that because of the cross-education effect, they were able to prevent the loss of muscle thickness that occurred in the injured side of the body. Some studies even reported that there was actually an increase in the muscle size on the injured side, not just merely maintaining or preventing a loss. So that could mean that that muscle atrophy or the breakdown of our muscles that we see when we get injured or when we have a surgery could be significantly lessened if you're able to keep training the other side of your body. And this is echoed again and again through a variety of different literature. This one was saying that loss of muscle mass was counteracted when the contralateral or the opposite limb was subjected to strength training. Just again and again, guys, we're learning that strength training is just top tier, chef's kiss. Now, how does this work? As for the mechanism behind how cross-education works, there are lots of potential reasons, and there's lots of potential hypotheses or guesses that people have. And a lot of them I don't fully understand because there's a really large neurological component, which means it's involving our brain and our reflexes. But I'm going to share with you one potential hypothesis that I thought was interesting. There is something called the bilateral access hypothesis. And it says that when we train one side of our body, we create something called a motor engram. And a motor engram is a change that occurs in our brain due to the potential memory of training being created. So these engrams, or these traces of memories, can be accessed by the limb that we train, but it can also be accessed by the limb that we don't train, or our injured limb. I want you to think of this like a secret code that is left in our bodies to try and decrypt the message of strength development. Both the uninjured and the injured side have access to this secret code, so they can both reap the benefits of unlocking that strength message. But that trained limb might have a few extra secrets that allows them to unlock that message a bit faster or translate it a bit better. How cool is that? Now that's in terms of the strength side of things, potentially in terms of building muscle as well. But another potential reason that could be the cause of the creation of muscle, or the hypertrophy, has to do with all of the magical pathways that we have in our body. Muscle atrophy, or the breakdown of our muscles, is simply reflective of the fact that the proteins in our body are being destroyed or degraded at a faster rate than they're being created. Yeah, look at how I'm holding my microphone. This is very professional. There's a theory that when we train the uninjured side of our body, it might actually slow down or block the pathway that's causing the destruction of muscle on this side of the body. But the signals coming from this side of the body probably aren't strong enough to completely or fully activate the pathway that is required to build muscle on this side, or the injured side of the body. So that would be why we see some increase in strength and muscle size, but not a huge amount. I'm very sorry, that was a long science break, but we're going to continue on. With all of that said, you might be wondering, well, won't we get really uneven? Won't we have one really big leg and one really small leg? Won't one side be stronger too? Maybe we should let them both atrophy or both get weaker instead. And in response to all of this, I would rather have one really strong side of my body than have two really weak sides that can't do much. I actually heard one of Callum's physios saying that, and I think it's a really great way of explaining it. Why would you let both of your limbs get back to that really weaker place? It's much easier to build up strength when we have that solid foundation on one side, and that's thanks to the cross-education effect as one of the reasons. It's much easier to do that than to completely start from scratch on both. And honestly guys, Callum has been a testament to this. He is astonishing, and he is completely committed to this rehab process, and he's committed to staying strong and fit throughout. And because of this, and because of things like the cross-education effect, I know that he's going to return to play really swiftly, and he's going to be in the best possible position that he can be. So truly this video is a little bit in honor of Cal. I hope you guys can learn something from him, and also hope that you can learn something from this video about how important it is to keep training. I absolutely know how frustrating it is to be injured for a long amount of time, but you owe it to yourself and to your potential to keep pushing and to keep fighting even when it gets difficult. If you're interested in training with myself or Cal, please feel free to let us know. I've dropped our email down below. And please make sure to like and subscribe, guys. I hope you learned something. And remember, you'll make Spike very, very happy if you like. Have an amazing week ahead, everybody. I hope you keep training and moving in a way that makes you happy and makes your body feel good. And that's all I want for all of you. I'll see you all next time, guys. Bye.